Dadaji's 104th birth anniversary. A wonderful day to celebrate. Blessed are those who have met in person the dear Master Sri Dadaji. When you meet the Master in person, it's very difficult because the intensity, the fire of the Master is so much so that you literally have to burn yourself into that. But later on, when we celebrate the birthdays, we feel nice. Oh, what a wonderful blessing of life that we could come across such a Master in whose presence the ego could be annihilated. So, such a Master, we met him in 1991, and after 1991 till he left his body 2012, those were the golden years when we could be with him, when we could learn from him, when we could learn life from him. Not just learn the philosophy, but learn how life functions. That was the blessing which we had. We pray to him. He never believed in Guru, he never believed in prayers, but we do feel from the heart that we pray to him. So we will pray. From him came the light of awareness, everything about how the thought functions, how the thought dissolves, how one goes beyond the mind, and from beyond the mind, beyond the frontiers of ego mind, how the intuitive energy starts functioning. All that we could learn live from him. To such a master who was embodiment of light, we pray through our prayers. अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Praying to dear Master Sri Dada Gavand. Let us get in our session. So 4th September 1917 was the day on which Dadaji was born in the town of Thane, where we are right now. There Dadaji was born, and at the age of 94, when he was in 2012, he left his body on Sajjangarh. So a great master during the lifetime. His family was the family which was wealthiest family in Thane. Half of the Thane belonged to them. They were he had the hobbies which were like cricketing and photography and all the richest hobbies he had. So, coming from such a family and then leaving everything in search of truth and going, becoming completely anonymous and going on to a mountain of Sajjangad in complete solitude where nobody could locate him, nobody knew him, going into such a hardship and finding out the truth. A real seeker of truth only can do all this. About all his journey, Guruji will talk to you. We will start with one of his beautiful poems. So I'll just play that poem, Oh My Beloved. That is the poem because whenever we are on the uh, journey of seeking the truth, at one point the ego annihilation happens and you start feeling. One day we were standing in front of a mountain in Eur, where he used to say, and the sunset was happening. So he just took us behind his house, and in front of that mountain we were standing, and he said, when I was on Sajjangad, he said that the first thing that happened, I started observing my mind, I started observing my thoughts, my memories as they were surfacing. At one point, it so happened that I started feeling that such a vast creation, and I'm absolutely nothing in that creation, not even a small speck in that creation. And I started feeling worthless, that there is nothing in this. But he said, I went on watching myself, I went on watching all those thoughts. At one point, the state came where I felt, oh, I am this expanse, I am this creation, all that is but me. And he said that was the point from where all the things started changing. So, all these stages do come during the sadhana, during whenever you are searching yourself, all these stages come. So at that time when you're feeling that I am nothing, at that time the ego is getting annihilated, the individuality is dying, and the universal being is being born. So when that universal being is being born, at that time you start appreciating the divine self within. That is from where this beautiful poem has come from Dadaji. I will play that poem, we all will remember fondly, and then we will enter into the session. So let me share the screen, just 1 minute. So I hope you all are able to read the poem. I will play it for you now. Is a mysterious fire. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved, I bow down in all humility to this internal source of divinity. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved, I bow down in all humility to this internal source of divinity. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved. With faith and devotion, I obey you. In my meditation, I experience you. In silence eloquent, I meet you. In the depth of my inner space, I greet you. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved, I bow in all humility to this internal source of divinity. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved. Darkness at noon, I miss the sun. How hidden you are, mysterious one. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved, I bow down in all humility to this eternal source of divinity. My beloved, oh my beloved. You are the swift, subtle and timeless, the wisdom of internal space. I sing to myself thy divine face, the whispering flash of intuitive grace. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved, I bow down in all humility to this eternal source of divinity. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved. Sudden uninvited flash from beyond the time. Truth dwells across the frontiers of mind. That fiery spark within I see the secret of life hidden within. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved, I bow down in all humility to this internal source of divinity. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved. My vessel no more can contain thy dynamic ecstasy of inner domain. Overflowing flood of pure sensitivity, oh I discover the source of divinity. Oh I discover the source of divinity. I bow down in the source of divinity. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved. With faith and devotion, I obey you. In my meditation, I experience you. In silence eloquent, I meet you. In the depth of my inner space, I greet you. There I am you. In that inner space, I am you. There I am you. In that inner space, I am you. There I am you. In that inner space, I am you. Oh my beloved, oh my beloved. Those were the beautiful words of Dadaji. You can actually feel every word in your heart when we play those words. Such potent words, beautifully given the music by Rajesh David, and he sang it. He was a professor of statistics in one of the colleges, and he said that I don't know whether I'll be able to give justice to these words, but I will try. So that time we all were discussing that the words are coming from the master. Who are we to decide whether we are giving any justice to those words or not? The words have come with their energy, with their fragrance. They will flower beautifully in everyone's heart. And today we all are listening to it, remembering our Dadaji fondly. So now we will get into the program. I will invite Guruji to take over the further things. Very happy to see you all. Dadaji's love has pulled you all here. So let us all get on to this journey with that love and go ahead.
Namaste to all of you, and very hearty welcome to this 104th birthday celebration of our spiritual master Sri Dada Gavand, fondly known as Dadaji. We are going to dive deep into his journey, our journey with him, and many Dadaji disciples are here in this August gathering today, online gathering, and many of you will be able to relate to whatever we discuss. Those of you who have actually personally met him are lucky that you could meet him personally. Those who could not, they have read their books, Dadaji's books. And so it will be quite a interesting exploration this evening. So I welcome all of you to join me. Let us together explore his life, his philosophy, our journey with him, and the transformation that happened to so many of us by being closer to him. So I personally was crying on the burning ghats of Pune when Osho left his body. I was deeply in love with Osho, and my love affair with Osho had just started and he left his body. Of course, I was with him for a few years and I started understanding the spirituality. But when he left his body, I was shattered because my journey had just started. I started understanding what the spiritual journey is, but I had not actually progressed. I was just understanding it. And that is the time one of the friend from Ghatkopar told me that you have a great master staying very nearer to you. Why don't you go and meet him? And next day I was in Thane, kicked the motorcycle and straight went to Ur Hills where he was staying. I knew only one thing, that he stays somewhere closer to the Ram Mandir. So I found the Ram Mandir in half an hour's time, starting from my home, not very far off. And I saw the cottage in which he was staying, and I met him personally somewhere around 26 Jan 1991. And what I saw was a absolutely amazing person, something that I had experienced by being with Jiddu Krishnamurti at the age of 13, 14, 15, when he was coming and talking at JJ School of Architecture and experienced Samadhi in his presence. Something similar, vibrations, similar eyes, same depth in the eyes was experienced by being with Dadaji. And it was like love at first sight. The tuning was amazing. And the first sentence that he said, so you have come. And he went on laughing, roaring laughter for next 5 minutes. and I didn't know what to do, you know, as if it was like a meeting after a long time, but personally I was meeting him for the first time. So somewhere he had felt the past birth connections, and maybe the journey that was left behind in the previous lifetime started again. And it was a love affair at the first sight, absolutely crazy love affair. And then I went on meeting him so many times, and very straight questions. I told him once that I know you are an extraordinary person. Anything that can happen to a human consciousness has happened to you. I know for sure in my heart that yes, it has happened. Can it happen to me? That was the question. That's the beginning of my real spiritual journey. He said, yes, it can happen to everybody. And what a big solace that this can happen. And I have a man in front of me who is willing to hold my hand, guide my journey, and tell me how exactly it happens. So that meeting ended, and on 26th January, myself, Bharati, Guruma, and our daughter Kalyani, she was about a year old that time, and we went and met him, and there's a family picture with him of 26th Jan 1991. And that time I was carrying my camera, and I was thinking, should I take a picture, family picture, because it was a very nice, beautiful gathering. He was a great mind reader, and he asked me, do you enjoy photography? That time I didn't really notice exactly that he was reading my mind, and I was planning to take out my camera and take a picture, but he took out the subject, so I happily took out the camera and then took a picture, and all that is preserved for our journey now, for my biography. And in the subsequent meetings, as I was going deeper, I realized that he was a fantastic mind reader. Whatever was happening in my mind, he was reading, and it was so threatening, you know, because my mind was definitely not in my control, and any kind of thoughts will come, and you are like absolutely naked in front of the master because he knows you inside out, he is reading you. Such a threatening feeling was there, and I asked him, I see, I know you are reading my mind, and my mind is not in my control. I'm feeling threatened, but I'm not going to run away. I'm naked in front of my master. It's like going to the doctor and showing your problems. And I said, this is how I am. But I am here to learn. I want transformation to happen. And he said, absolutely possible. So slowly, I started understanding. Bharti came with us, and he handed over his first book, Beyond the Mind, as a gift. Uh, and This is 21st May 1992. 21st May is our marriage anniversary, and that is the time when we have met him, and the first book came as a gift. And I started reading this book, okay, and then what I understood that I was able to understand paragraphs to a certain extent, and when one particular threshold will come when he talks of something beyond the mind, and I could not understand. With so much of effort, it became kind of a challenge for me to understand this book. And I went to him and I said that I understand this, but these paragraphs I do not understand. Why? He says you have to experience it, otherwise you will not understand this thing. It's not about intellectual understanding, it has to be the experiential understanding. When you meditate and experience the state, you will understand what is written. Ask him, how do I do that? And he told me the whole methodology of how to go beyond the mind. Okay, that was the title, Beyond the Mind. How to go beyond the mind. And he himself had meditated for many years. And in 1975, he had gone to USA as his first journey. And that is where he met a lot of people, and his modus operandi was very simple, one-to-one interviews with the people, very intense interviews. Those were audio recorded and then transcribed, and that came out into the book form. So all different types of people are there who met him and had a very intense discussion. Those discussion in the chat form, as it is, discussions are there, and that is how the book came out. So in 2 3 years time. So 75 we visited, maybe 76, 77 this book came out. And that book became a challenge. And then I asked him, how do I do that? And he told me the whole methodology of how to go beyond the mind. And that was the real beginning of my own spiritual journey. How to be attentive to your thought mind. What is the meaning of aloof attention? Okay, was experienced in his presence, and he was vibrating so high that just by sitting by side of him, I could easily get into that aloof attention mode and separate myself from the thought mind and very intensely watch the thought mind. And miraculous effects were felt in his presence. That suddenly in his presence the thought mind activity will reduce to a very great level. Number of thoughts per minute will reduce in a very big way, and over a period of time, in few minutes time, sitting by with closer to him, the mind will come down to almost zero activity, and awareness will grow naturally. What a blessings, people spend years and years and years of meditation to come to that point. To me, without much of my effort, it was happening in the presence of the master. That is what we call it as grace. So in the presence of the master, his vibrations rub onto you and you get into that high vibration state without you doing anything. When you get something without you doing anything, that is called grace of the master, Guru Kripa. So for me, it was all Guru Kripa. I don't think I was eligible for that. I don't think I was evolved enough to get those things. Nothing of that sort. It was purely his grace that all these things happened to me in his presence. Slowly, slowly, my own awareness grew in his presence, and I understood that at one moment the intensity has to increase. So once the entire dynamics of enlightenment were understood, I said, now I will put a lot of efforts, a lot of intensity in my own way, and will meet you after a few days. And that was around May, June, July 1993. Almost a year of understanding had passed through, and I started reading his second book, that was Towards the Unknown. This was that book, Towards the Unknown, and on the terrace of Vasant Vihar where I was staying. So this says what it says: complimentary copy for Bharati to bring the unknown into the known. Dadaji, Yavur, 5th Jan 1993. So I was reading this book in July 1993, just while reading one of the paragraph and intensely contemplating. For the first time, that explosion of silence happened, 13 July 1993, and boundarylessness was felt in the evening around 7 o'clock, and that state continued for the next 15 days. And I was attending to my office, riding onto the motorcycle. I could feel those expansion happening. All that is part of my journey. You can read on my website. Such a wonderful thing happened without much of the efforts, you see. Now for this to happen to him, he had struggled a lot. He had taken so much of big risk. If you read his biography, Intelligence Beyond Thought, first 13 chapters in this book, thick book, nice, good book, are all about his own journey. What kind of risk he took. He went into solitude. Police was asking who is he, and a lot of troubles were there. But he continued to be into that small hut, and it was rainy season. Somehow we managed, all sort of creatures were there. And after 47 years of this happening, I personally was there with him along with Shailendra Tiwari and Bipin Balla, two disciples who were very close to Dadaji and most of the time with him. So three of us and Dadaji was there. After 47 years of this happening in the hut, we went to Sajangarh and we saw that hut was as it is. Nothing had changed. And it is still there. As it is. Nothing has happened. Okay. It was just a simple small bricks. But you see, it has survived the time, and it's not even plastered bricks. Simple bricks are lying there, and that's the reason maybe it has survived. That is where he was, and he remembered the whole thing, and his mood changed, and he was sitting outside the hut, and we video recorded all his emotions, how he felt, and he narrated his own journey, because he never expected that after 47 years, the same hut, same place, everything was as it is, nothing had changed. And that was the amazing experience. You see, when an enlightened master shares something, he is so much in the moment and it's so alive, throbbing. The real experiences come out. Even though it was kind of a memory for him, but as he was sharing, it has so much of energy in it and it was felt. So now when I read the biography that he has written and I relate to that, I could relate to it so much vibrantly, high into that state. What exactly happened, how it happened. So when I look back and see my own journey and his journey, he had struggled a lot. It's like doing R&D, finding out what the method can be. And I got that method on the silver platter with the hand holding by him. Without much of the trouble, it happened to me. That is the grace of the master, the Guru Kripa that is experienced. And I knew that it's an amazing thing, it can happen and it transformed the whole life. And I decided that I will work on the same lines further and kind of a semi-solitude, meeting only him, very few other people, only to the need. Next 5 years were the years of maturing. From 1993 to 1997-98 were the years of maturing. And during those years, 5 years, every day evening I'll be meditating on the terrace where I'm staying now in Silveraj. And I use this simple open eye meditation that Krishnamurti had described. Just look into the clear blue sky and be attentive. That's all. In that, you can get into the samadhi mode with the eyes open and you feel the expansion, you connect. The individuality disappears and the universality appears, and you feel that boundarylessness, expansion, that you are in the world and the world is in you and you and world are one, and that oneness is experienced without any boundary. Everything is throbbing. Scripture says that everything is consciousness. Sab kuch chaitanya hai. That is to be experienced. So for 5 years every day, for a few hours I used to be into that during meditation. And one day suddenly the lock opened and I could see my past lives. And in next few days I mastered that technique of how to look into the past lives. And I went on looking different past lives, and I was writing down in my diary what all things were coming out. Almost 500 lifetimes in the human body I could record, one after another, like a video movie I was watching. And life was kind enough to give me the insights of the people whom I'm meeting right now. I started understanding how the people I'm meeting now are connected to me from the previous lifetime. So I will understood intuitively the connections with the people, how they were connected to me in the previous lifetime, and so many people connected, so many different things. I went on doing, I could manage because awareness was very high, and I knew that it's a play, it's a lila, it's a maya, it's a drama. So unattached, and Dadaji was guiding me that yes, it can happen, but you don't attach yourself to it. Know it, and that's it, and forget about it. So a lot of maturing of the understanding happened during those 5 years, and brain cell corrections happen. I would experience kind of a pain intermittently, and I knew that energy was functioning inside the brain and correcting the brain cells, neural network and all. And not only that, my face cut changed, my look changed, my eyes changed. And if you see, compare the previous photo and after this, so much of changes happened. DNA level correction started happening. My nature changed inside out, and amazing things started happening. As I continued with great intensity, I could break through into the animal kingdom, and what all animal yonis I had passed through, even those experiences I started recording into my diaries. And there was no end to the experiment. I said, let me see what was there prior to that. I could see myself into the plant kingdom, different yonis into the plant kingdom. And even prior to that, I could see myself into the mineral kingdom. Absolutely extraordinary understanding started dawning, and I started understanding the whole jargon of how this world is functioning, what are the secrets of creation, why people come, why they meet, what happens, how to complete your karma, how to complete the relationships. Absolutely extraordinary things started happening, and the understanding was so high that somehow intuitively I started understanding the scriptures. You see, when I was in college, I was with Swami Chinmayananda. I wanted to study Sanskrit, study the scriptures, but I never studied Sanskrit and could not study the scriptures systematically. But whatever the scriptures are talking about, it had happened to me. So, any scripture, if I just look into intuitively, vibrationally, I'll pick up the understanding. And myself and Guruma, we commented on many different scriptures in many camps after 1998. Wonderful things started happening. I would have never believed that I can give commentary on Astavakra Gita without reading. I understand what Astavakra was talking, because all that happened to Astavakra had happened to me, maybe more than that. So Tripura Rasa is such a difficult job. Ramana Maharshi was having only one book when he was sitting onto that mountain, and he was always carrying it in his arm, and that was Tripura Rasa. And he had told his disciple that if you can convert this book into English, that will be a great thing. After Ramana left his body, 40 years after that, his disciples succeeded in publishing that book, and now Ramana Center has that book on Tripura Rahasya. Myself and Guruma, we conducted many camps on Tripura Rahasya, different places. Amazing scripture, natural understanding was happening. Then we got this Kashmir Shaivism book, The Secret Supreme, which we are talking right there these days. Absolutely impossible to understand, but the grace of the master is amazing, and the whole thing revealed. And I was giving commentary on different aspects of Kashmir Shaivism every Thursday at Tao, and all those things are recorded on my blog. You can see how this happened is such a mysterious thing. But anybody who experiences it from inside, all the scriptures are understood within. Okay, nothing is unknown to you in that state. But if I, as a normal person, if I look into that, I can't even understand that language. I don't know Sanskrit. But the understanding comes at a different level. So this is the blessing of the master, that by being with the master, with the Guru Kripa, that all these dimensions can open up, and without much of the effort or sadhana on my part, it happened. Now let me tell you the secrets what exactly happened. Masters of Theosophy, they say on an average, normal soul will take about 777 lifetimes to come to this point. Average soul. Okay. Now what I saw was about 500 lifetimes in a human body on the planet Earth. So normal calculation means Guru Kripa saved my 277 lifetimes. Can you believe this advantage? Just purely Guru Kripa. I would have been wondering, and because I enjoy wondering more, so maybe it would have been more, not less. At least 277 lifetimes saved just because of meeting my master Sri Dada Gavand. And when I saw all these advantages, I was feeling so grateful towards him. The real gratitude started coming, and I went personally and expressed my gratitude many times. And Guruma will join us. She'll carry some food. We'll have food together, have tea together, have a lot of talking. And then Guruma got involved into trans translating the books into Marathi, Hindi, and all. And she will share that journey. Amazing things happen. In fact, Guruma had been more with Dadaji than me because by then I had been into business and traveling after that. And Guruma spent a lot of time with Dadaji translating books because that was very intense journey. Amazing things started happening to her also, and it could happen to anybody. So I was very keen on introducing many friends, and from Tao, batch by batch, I started taking people there. Many people joined individually also. More than 1,000 friends I recorded in my diary. I was introduced to Dadaji. But what a strange thing I felt was because he was a very strong master, very powerful master, he'll kill the ego instantly. People came, they enjoyed, they felt that energy, but people were so afraid that when I meet them, we'll discuss about Dadaji, but nobody will go to meet him or stay with him personally because he was a very strong master. It's like putting your hand in the fire. That difficult to stay with the master. So most of the people ran away. The advantage that happened to me or Guruma, I don't think many people could survive his fire and be with him and do that job. So many people missed out. But I am very specially grateful, and I would to mention because these people are here. Let me put it into the gallery mode and see. Uh, I introduce our friend. He is my elder brother, Kanaya Solegaonkar and Snell Solegaonkar, and publicly I want to express my gratitude to my elder brother Kanaya Solegaonkar and Snell Solegaonkar for taking care of my master. When I was traveling internationally and not able to be with him, uh, this couple actually took care of Dadaji in last 2 years. Somewhere around October 2010, he left Thane and then he went to Sajangat, and that is the time my international touring was going on. When Dadaji left his body, I was talking about Dadaji in one of the program in Singapore, and that is the time I got the message from our friend hmm? Shailendra Tiwari. And the moment I read that message, actually I was talking about Dadaji to a great audience at Singapore. So I really want to express my gratitude to Snehal and Kanaya Solegaonkar for taking care of my master because it's such a wonderful feeling that someone very close to my heart is there with my master and taking care. Thank you very much, my dear brother, for taking care of him. Thank you. All right, so let's continue with the journey. You see what is the blessings of the master. Okay, so many wonderful things happen. Now suppose if I would have to try out on my own, I would have taken at least 300 lifetimes to reach to that point. I can tell you for sure that I was a very ordinary person, maybe below ordinary because I was a slow learner. My childhood was in a village, no great background, ordinary middle class family, nothing great about the whole thing. Let me tell you honestly, it is purely Guru Kripa. It is his blessings that life transformed in a big way, and a village boy started teaching some of the best things world over. Now, that kind of transformation can happen if you find a master, and the master's blessings can create that kind of transformation. Guruma had a very intense journey while translating the books, and her understanding happened in a totally different manner. But ultimately, it is the same thing. It may happen because the starting points are different, but ultimately, the understanding that opens up, you get into that expanded awareness, and individuality to universality is the journey. And that's exactly what happened to him, that happened to me, that happened to Guruma, and that happened to many other people. Let me tell you a secret thing which he never told, he never mentioned in the book, but I knew because I was very close to him. I got one secret file while cleaning his house. Occasionally he'll allow us to clean, and I got such a thick file. You know what was there inside the file? So many letters written by people around the world expressing that they had expressed in the letters of gratitude, that I read one after another, so many letters. They all had experienced what I had experienced in his presence. Such a thick file, and it was all like one to one. So his modus operandi was not like me, not in the classroom or not in front of the large audience. He was always working on people one on one, and such a thick file, so many people had experienced the transformation, and all those letters and testimonials were there in that. And when he saw me that I'm so intensely reading, he took away that file, and I never knew where that file went afterward, because I had told him that some of the letters we can reproduce in biography, and he said, no, it's not for that. I think except one or two letters, nothing came from there, but so many letters were there. He had done amazing work, but so many things remain there only. What has come in the books of Dadaji and what he actually was, there is so much of difference, because he never wanted to tell anything other than pure scientific spirituality. You see, he avoided using the traditional words like Kundalini and all that, because he said that you interpret as if you know. So I want to use only new words, more scientific words, something which is general, something which is non-traditional, and that is how his books are like that. Now that doesn't mean that he did not know the traditional thing. He had tremendous understanding of the scriptures, traditional things, Kabir Ka Doha, all the Bhakti Margis, all the saints of Maharashtra, and the Theosophists, because he was basically a Theosophist. So he had all the knowledge, but he never talked about those things in his talks. He remained purely into whatever vocabulary he had, and he will use those words in a very different manner without getting into the traditional language, and that is how all his books are like that. Extraordinary work he did, but let me tell you that lots of things have remained unpublished, because I have seen what all things were there, and now I don't know where those things are, but there are quite a few things, very very interesting things were there, and those are lost. I don't know where they are, but it's gone. One major compilation which Guruma could retrieve, and she has, is all his writings in Marathi. She will talk about it, and it's fully edited by her now. One of the very intense book can come out from there. He always wanted that local people, Marathi people, should get all this knowledge, and he really worked hard on that. And slowly, slowly, now his books are also transcribed into Marathi. Because he always went that I went internationally and talked to so many people, but what about my own people? That was his wordings. So his local people should also get it, and at a minimum cost. So those books were like at a very low cost. He always had that kind heart of meeting people. Let me tell you one incident, you'll understand how the master behaves. I was there, and owner of a shipping company for whom he had done a photographic job and earned $600 in those days. I'm talking about 1976-77. He got one contract of photographing and he earned $600, which was considered a huge amount then. So owner of that shipping company was to come, and he was staying in Taj Hotel in Mumbai, South Mumbai, and in Mercedes car he arrived. And he said, "You be here so that you can serve tea and breakfast and all." He said, "He's a big man and be here." But before that, as we were waiting, one Adivasi farmer from the nearby place came and met him. With so much of love, he attended to him, and I took a picture. And 15 minutes after that, he was meeting one of the richest men of the world, who was the owner of a shipping company of USA. Okay, and what I could see is he was the same person, whether the visitor is small or big or so. That was only my mind playing. As far as he was concerned, he was operating out of absolute equanimity and his normal self. He was not different in front of that Adivasi farmer and in front of a rich man. He will normally behave in a certain manner, and he behaved in that manner. And I learnt a big lesson from him that day. It really does not matter whether the person is the rich or the poor. You connect to the heart of the person and do what is necessary. Give help at every level. And even today, I continue practicing that. You learn by being with the masters, how they behave. If you understand that, and then I develop this mindset. If anybody asks me the question, my mind will go into that mode. If I would have asked that question to Dadaji, how he would have answered, and suddenly the things will click, and the answer will come out as if it is coming from him. You see the statue of Dadaji behind me. There was an artist in Pune, and we had gone together. That artist told Dadaji to stand there, and with the clay, in 30 minutes time, this statue was created. 30 minutes plan. Okay, and afterward, then it was molded, and this, the one which I am having, is of the fiber, and then one more of the metal was also created after that. So when we went with the artist, we stayed there overnight because that artist couple insisted, and I was with Dadaji at that time, and lots of discussions happened. I think that learning live in the field of the master, how he behaves, what he talks about, was extraordinary. I personally found that he was the one of the best counselor ever that you can have, and he will counsel people and solve their problems, psychological issues, relationship issues. I think every master does that, but he had a very, very unique style, which I picked up later and started understanding how he actually got into a counselor's mode, solve people's problem, and people were so happy, inviting him. Absolutely amazing things happened. And my earlier days, that I was afraid of him because he was reading my mind. But after all this thing, I gathered a lot of confidence and started understanding. And I asked him, gathered the courage and asked him, "Can you teach me mind reading?" Because I was absolutely fascinated at this aspect of mind reading. And he said, I asked me, "Why do you want to read other people's mind?" I said, "No, no, as a matter of technology, I want to learn this. How do you read other people's mind?" He said, "You sit down, you read your mind." I understood maybe that's the beginning. And that very evening, I don't know what magic he did, but I got the energy to read other people's mind. And some very funny things started happening. I was at the office, Tao office, and the sweeper was sweeping morning, and I tried whether I have that. So I just zoomed into his mind and I could read his mind. And my energy was so high that fellow who was sweeping left the broom there and ran away. I don't know what happened to him, but it's a very dangerous thing. Then my brother visited me in the evening at our home, and I had this. Let me see whether I can read my brother's mind, and I could. And I understood how to read people's mind. But you see, when I started reading the friends and family members' mind, I understood that whom you consider as your own self, your own people, not necessarily they are thinking the way you are thinking. A lot of mind plays its own game. And I told Dadaji, this is very dangerous. I don't want to read people's mind. Can you help me to switch off? He said, see, that's why I was telling you it's not good, because you should be able to manage. If you are looking into people's mind and people are thinking something wrong about you, ill about you, nonsensical things, and if you cannot manage, then you will damage your relationships. And that's exactly what had started happening. With the grace of the master, again, I learned something called toggle switch technique. So now, if I can switch on, I can read people's mind. If I switch off, I don't read. So normally I will not read. Only in difficult cases when somebody is dying or somebody is not able to talk and then I need to read the mind and help people. Only that case I will switch on. Otherwise I keep it off all the time. It's not good to read people's mind because it's like reading somebody's love letters. You know inside out what other people are doing. So amazing journey. Then one more scientific thing that I had, and I talked to him very honestly that I feel like doing experiment with you in a very scientific manner. Can we talk mind to mind telepathically? Because we were talking. Once this ability came, after that, even in the group, I will talk to Dadaji mind to mind, and nobody will know, even in the group. So I had kind of a hotline mind to mind with my master, and that's how the communication will happen. So one day I told him that let us do the experiment from what distance we can do. So I went 10 meters away from him and I could connect. And then I went to Ram Mandir, maybe about 30, 40 meters, 50 meters away, and I could connect. Then I told him that I'm going home, which is about vectorially around 5 kilometers away, and let me see whether I can connect. So again, it was evening and I was meditating on the terrace, and this thought came, can I connect to my master telepathically? And I could connect. And it was like real, as real as face to face, 5 kilometers away. So I'm staying in Pokhran number 1, Samtanagar, and he was in Yavur Hills, almost vectorially, roughly 5 kilometers. And I could talk to him as if we are talking on the hotline. But you see, as I came out of meditation, I started doubting that was it my mind playing the game or was it real? And that time my uh, landline phone rang. I just picked it up and only one sentence, idiot, do you still doubt? And he kept down the phone. It was Dadaji. And I understood that even after my meditation, what was happening in my mind, he was reading from 5 kilometers away, and he knew that I am on the wrong line. So he picked up the phone, fired me one sentence, and kept the phone down. And after that, I never had any doubt that all this is possible. So long distance mind to mind communication, what we call telepathy today, is very much possible, scientifically proven. Okay. Lots of experiments we did. I don't want to excite your mind, but he was an extraordinary man. He told me not to share these things with others because it excites the mind. I got carried away today because it's his birthday and my journey, but there are lots of such experiments that we conducted. Seeing different places, seeing different lokas, traveling to different lokas together, all these things, because I had this scientific mind and he knew that I had a very inquisitive mind and I wanted to do everything in a very scientific manner and record those experiments, and I have so much recorded. All the grace of the master. Probably I wouldn't have understood all these things without his help. So many different arenas we explored together, the subtle realities and all that. And my understanding of this multi-dimensional world is totally different than what a normal person will have. I started understanding all the mystical things that happened. I could see with my multi-dimensional awareness the multi-dimensional realities, and it was all his grace. All right, I think I've shared a lot. I was introduced by Premji to the master. Very good. Sanjay Talukdar. Yes, almost 1,000 people from Thane, nearby area, Thane, Mumbai area. So many people, and we have lots of group pictures that people who. Okay, so 5 to 10 minutes. Let it be live interaction. If you have any question, uh, you want to ask, please put it into the chat box and I'll answer you. And after 10 minutes, I'll hand it over to Guruma. She will share her journey. And if you have no question, then I can hand it over to Guruma right now. And let her share her journey with Dadaji, because she had a very intense journey, much more intense than what I had, because she was involved into the books translation, and Dadaji had a very, very different approach towards learning. Sundarajan saying the blog URL kindly share. Yes, I will share. Guruma, can you search my okay, premnirmal.guru has everything. Go to that website, premnirmal.guru. My journey with Dadaji is also mentioned, and my entire biography is also there, so you can read that. About me. In premnirmal.guru, about me, all these things are there. You can check. There are 2 articles also, and biography also. But not all the mystical things that I'm talking, because those cannot be written. It's just alive. Yes, there is a URL in chat, Mr. Sundarajan. You can read my journey with Dadaji. That's the article. My journey with Dadaji. That is what is in there in that link. All right. So I think most of the people who are here, they know we have discussed many things, and there are no questions. So thank you very much for being here. It's a great joy to talk about the Master and His grace. Okay. So much of gratitude in my heart that in such a short span of time, maybe 2 decades, so many things are understood, and I feel immensely happy today that me and Guruma, we travel around the world, and more than 300,000 people, 3 lakh log, okay, we have shared this understanding, and so many more people we are able to reach out online now after the lockdown started. Wonderful things are happening, you see. So the PK is asking how to meet you. But yeah, I'm a very ordinary person, available. Anybody can come and meet me. Absolutely no issue. I'm open to meeting. And if you don't come and meet me, then I'll come and meet you at your home. You see, that's also possible. So I'm a very ordinary person. I meet everybody PK. You can just get in touch with me on WhatsApp and come down to my office, or I can come down. It's okay. Sanjay Talukdar says, Guruji, we can convert master's book to audio book. Possible. But audiobooks are becoming popular abroad. In US, people do multitasking while driving, they all. But India, no, not much market for that. People love to read here. But conversion, yes, possible. Sanjay Talukdar, conversion for sure possible. Okay, so over to Guruma for her interesting journey. Thank you very much for so kind and patient listening. Once again, all the gratitude for the master for a wonderful journey and extraordinary understanding that happened. This body, this person, Prem Nirmal, was good for nothing but became a teacher to hundreds and thousands of people. Purely the master's grace, all credit goes to him. 100%, 110% credit goes to him. Okay, so thank you very much. Over to Guru.
amazing sharing about the great master. One thing I would like to tell you about Dadaji was whenever we used to go to Dadaji, he always insisted that you do something new. So, Sanjay Talukdar, if you have got an idea that you want to convert his books into audiobooks, go ahead with it. Because that's the most rewarding journey. If you are translating master's books, if you are transcribing master's words, all those things add to the understanding to a great extent. When we were translating his books, he said all the books are published from US. And here in Maharashtra, in my mother tongue, no book has come out yet. So I feel the books should be translated in Marathi. Now you see, reading that biography, autobiography, which is 300 and some odd pages, 25 pages, if you're reading those pages, that itself is a task. Now thinking about translating that, and we said, me and my friend Gauri Chirsagar, he was telling that you can translate these books. When we took up that job, what we decided, one chapter I will translate, one chapter she will translate, and we will take. So first chapter we translated and went to him. He looked at the translation. He simply took those days the computers were not so much in use. So we had written it onto the papers. He simply took the papers and he threw it off. And we were like, the full chapter is translated and he's simply tearing it off and throwing it off. So he said, R ko R lagana or T ko T lagana. Is that translation? That means if you are trying to translate word by word and if the essence is not coming, that translation is not going to be accepted. So he said, unless you experience the energy which is reflected in those words, don't put it onto the paper. Then again he said, go home, do that and come back. Again we went home, started translating. We went and sat in front of him. Then he said, it's not going to happen like that. Sit here. And that day, for 8 hours at a stretch, he made us sit in front of him. You will get your tea here. You'll get your food here. No excuse of going to the washroom, nothing. Only if necessary, you'll be getting up from here. And 8 hours, he made us sit there. And the keywords, there was this thought is a potential energy. So he said, oh, so you should have lots of thoughts, right? So then we realized he said that thought traps the energy, and that's how the energy which is there is trapped in the thought. So if you release the thought, the energy which is trapped in the thought will get released. So he said, have you understood this aspect? So all such small points he went on pointing out, and he said, unless you experience these things, don't put them on the paper. The translation is not for the world, the translation is for you. If you are understanding, if you are experiencing those things, then the purpose of translation will be over. We were thinking we are obliging the master by translating his book. That's how the ego works, that you feel I am obliging the master, such a big book, and we have been asked to translate and we are doing that job for master. But in reality, to annihilate the ego, master works through all these tasks on us. So feel blessed when you take up the work of the master and the master is working on you. All those words, they reflect into you, they start transforming you, and that's the way master transforms you. He had asked one day that all his poems we got. So he said, now these poems have to be the poem which you listened to just now. He said, these should be musically done now. So I said, Dadaji, me and music, we are far away. I don't know anything. He said, I don't know that. You will find out a studio. You will get these poems recorded. You will find someone who will give them tunes. I said, but I don't know anything. I haven't experienced. He said, in life, every time you experience something for the first time. Nothing. If you are doing it all the time, you are in the comfort zone of a mind. Anytime you want to cross the frontiers of the mind, you have to expose yourself to something which is unknown. And all the time, keep yourself onto that boundary from where you will be on those frontiers where the mind has to be dropped and you have to get connected to that intuitive intelligence. Only if you are exposing yourself to those frontiers, then something can happen. So always take up something that you don't know. Mind has its own ways of taking you from known to known, known to known. And it keeps you into the arena where you get trapped into known to known. But if you really have to experience that which is unknown, and that's why he gave that book and he wrote that to bring the unknown into the known. What a blessing from a master to have that. And that is why he put me, every time he put us into the situation where that unknown is faced, where that unknown is faced. And that is how those poems uh, got a tune. We booked a studio of Suresh Wadkar, and all those poems were recorded in his studio, and all those poems came out. The CDs which are there, very few CDs which are there. I didn't know CD editing, video editing, and all his work was from US. So those PAL Mascam videotapes, which used to be there, big ones, in that all that work was there. So how to retrieve that work? He said, I don't know that, but that work has to be retrieved. And then going to different studios in Juhu where BR Chopra has all the equipments which are needed for anybody who wants to retrieve right from the first uh, movie which had come. All the equipments which are needed are there. So going there, retrieving it. And when that CD was made, if you have seen that CD of uh, song, uh, the first, very first CD, which is the part of last part of Dadaji's book of Towards the Unknown. When that was made and that was shown to him, it was edited and it was shown. So he was watching like a small child, He was watching that and wow, this man talks so nice. He's watching himself and he's sitting under a tree and he eloquently all the words are coming out. The bird is chirping. So all those things when he was watching, he's looking at the screen and he's saying, wow, this man talks so nice, wonderful. And watching that CD was a joy in itself. That wonderment of a child, that innocence, all the time he carried that. And when you see such masters, it puts you into that experience of experiencing freshness of life. Every moment, such masters are in that freshness. And when you are with them and you watch them, you get into experiencing that freshness. That were his ways to make everybody experientially understand that. While writing the books, he said, while translating, he said it's very easy to use the words Kundalini, Kundalini awakening. He said, if I use that word, the mind says, oh, Kundalini, I know Kundalini. Kundalini awakening, I know Kundalini awakening. He said, what you know Kundalini awakening and what you know Kundalini, you have not experienced any of those things. But because traditionally you have read all these words and those words have become so rough by common usage that without experiencing, your mind starts telling you, oh, yes, I know Kundalini. That is why he said the traditional words should be completely avoided. That's why he used the words the primordial energy. It's nothing but Kundalini. The experiences which are there are Kundalini awakening experiences, but he every time insisted that no usage of traditional words because simple thing that scientifically if you want to know the process, he said the whole autobiography is being written for the seekers to experience it in their consciousness. He said in his book of Beyond the Mind, he has written that if this book becomes a hurdle, these words become the hurdle in your progress, just hurl this book out of the window and throw it off. All these words are the pointers. and those pointers are pointing towards something. So, in your consciousness, you experiment and experience those things inside. And if that is not happening, and if these words are giving you an illusion that you know these things, then probably those words are becoming the hindrance in your progress. Anytime, if the words are becoming hindrance, throw the book out of the window. A writer who has written a book so passionately, so intensely, simply in the introduction writes this sentence. You can understand the intensity of his heart, that how every seeker should go through the experience himself or herself, and how sincerely, intensely that experimentation should happen. That is what dear Dadaji was, and those were his ways all the time. Whoever came with so much, all the techniques he would use, love, sama, dama, danda, bheda. So some of the persons who would come with a lot of ego, straight bashing, and that straight bashing means that person will run away and will never come back. That kind of bashing. Someone coming, so much love oozing out, and that person will feel this master is just epitome of love, and all the time that love is oozing out, which he was, that could be experienced in his presence, that oozing love. But seeing the state of the seeker, from what state the seeker is operating, from there he would operate, and he would straight make that person naked, face himself naked. That if you really want to learn, become honest, become sincere and naked, only then something can happen. So he would make you naked and then make you learn. One day while translating the books, so he asked me, it was night 8:30. So he asked me, do you know what is fear? So I said, yes, Dadaji. So he said, do you ever have the fear? So, and I was thinking that, I have stayed alone in the hostel. I go into the jungle, walk alone, and also I don't have fear. That's what I was thinking. So Dadaji, when he asked, and his questions were very penetrative. So when he asked penetratively, do you have fear? I said, no, Dadaji, that way I'm. So he said, okay, we'll do one experiment today. He said, now it's 8:30 night, and he was staying in a jungle where leopards used to go, the snakes would be there. So he said, now we'll do one thing. From here, you will start walking. And he said, you're not going to take a vehicle, no car lift, no bus, no company to walk with. You will be walking alone through the jungle. And then you tell me tomorrow what happens, because we used to meet for translating the books. So tomorrow you tell me what is fear. I came out from his cottage, started walking on the road. A dry leaf falling, some sound. You may, oh, is it a snake? You walk a little bit more, something is shining from the bush. Is it the leopard, the eyes of the leopard? And it was only 8:30, 9 o'clock. It was not 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock at night also. And every step, and slowly, I realized that when you face such fear, you become intensely aware from inside. And that was the purpose why he had put this question, was we abhor facing that, and we always want to take the things for granted, and that is why the intensity of awareness doesn't come. But when all this was happening and I was walking all alone, it was the peak of intensity of awareness with which I was walking through the jungle. Every moment in that alertness, every moment in that awareness, and every step taken in that awareness. When I came home and reached home, I was full of that intensity of awareness. So he called me from his cottage and he asked me, how was the experiment of fear? I said, Dadaji, I know what fear is, and I know what awareness is, and I know what alertness you talk about. In every moment, remain alert and aware when you talk what it is, all that I experienced. He said, come tomorrow. I will have a look at you, and if I feel that you have still not experienced the fear, well, I have another method for you. I'll pitch a tent in the jungle. He used to stay in the jungle. So he said, I'll pitch a tent outside and I'll see to it that 3 nights you stay alone in that tent. When I went next day morning, a big smile on my face, I said, ready for anything, surrender to you, master, because the way he had awakened that intense awareness from inside. I said, hats off to the master for giving this practical method of how to remain into that. So when I went, I gave a flashing smile. Said, well, I think I don't have to pitch the tent. And that's how, with such simple experience of 1 hour walk into the jungle, all alone, and when you know that, I mean, when you feel that, oh, I know everything, I'm fearless, I'm courageous, all these ideas the ego has. But actually, what the reality is, are you really facing that reality? Are you really experimenting in your consciousness? All these things were tasted by the master, and he gave all these experiences. My past birth with him was I was a cook, and he used to tell me, we were in Europe and I was his cook, and he always had this, he would make beautiful combinations of dishes and the dish would come out something extraordinary. And when he used to tell ki thoda ye lena thoda wo lena, that means take something of this, take something of this, mix it, put little salt, put little pepper, all that. When he would tell, I said, Dadaji, I will make more tastier. The ego earlier, it always wants to project that I know better, I know more. So I would say, nahi Dadaji, usme ye dalenge na to. Then he would say, I'm telling you something, you do that and tell me what you do, and now what it has come out, what is it? And slowly slowly I realized that even in that birth I used to tell him that am I a cook or you're a cook? Why are you telling me how to cook? When I'm your cook, why are you and that had remained halfway. That's why in this birth I served him food for 2 full years. Every day I would cook, I would take. The way he instructed, I would make the things and take for him. And then at one point, when those psychic impressions were erased completely, and I enjoyed learning from him, that was the time he said, from today onwards, no food from you. We have completed. And that was the day we stopped carrying food for him. So, lot of methodologies masters have, right from cooking to kitchen garden to translation to editing of the videos to transcriptions. Any method, any modus operandi, only one agenda from the master, working on our consciousness. So, anytime if any work is coming from the master, feel blessed. Take it up. Now the work of Marathi book has come, a traditional Haripat, which is a methodology, which is a uh, writing style, which is called as the Haripat, which is the style of the old saints. In that he has written, and everything scientifically, how DNA is there, how the cellular level memories are there, how emotional, mental patterns work through all different things. Everything scientifically explained, but through the traditional writing style of Haripat. And if this reaches to all the Marathi homes, people will be immensely benefited. That book has come. I don't know how he wants this to be done through. Myself, Kanaya, Snehal, we all were sitting on that book, and a lot of work has happened. But I think still we have not learned it to the fullest extent, so the book is not yet coming out. With best wishes from all of you and with His grace, let that book get completed. Because all these things, when they come, they have a purpose of serving humanity at large and you being benefited in the whole process. So on his birthday, let that commitment happen from here. That let this book come out with his blessings, with his grace, and let at large the whole of Maharashtra be benefited by this great journey for 21 years together with him. One after the other, all the incidents will start surfacing. But the grace of the Master, let you feel complete in your heart with whatever he has bestowed on you, you feel complete in your heart. So, with that completeness, I pray to Him that how you have helped us. Let all those in whose hearts this is surfacing, that let me do something, let all of them also be benefited by it. Like how Sanjay Talukdar felt it today. Similar way, those who have not met him, but still, when Master is in the body, he is limited to that body. But when Master leaves the body, he is available to everybody. His energy is available to everyone who wants to work intensely. And when he leaves his body, that's the time he is in the mood to just give away. That was the time when Kanhaiya and Snehal were around him. Really blessed, because when any master is leaving the body, he is in the mood that whatever I have, I just want to give it, whoever is around to take it. And at that time, if you get an opportunity to serve the master, you are the most blessed one. So, Kanhaiya and Snehal, you were the blessed ones to have that opportunity of serving, and he gave those opportunities to very few, and very few could take those opportunities. So, endless sharing, it'll go on and on. Anybody, if you want to ask something about his work, about his translation, about the books Guruji told you, Beyond the Mind was the first book. The second was Towards the Unknown. It's a poetic expression. Towards the Beyond the Mind is 8 different angles from which he has put the journey. Like a woman, how will she look at the whole spiritual journey? An artist, how will he look at this spiritual journey? So from the artist's point of view, how can you reach to the pinnacle? A family man. So all 8 different angles, all 8 different facets of the diamond, but each reaching to the pinnacle of human flowering. How that can happen? That is in Beyond the Mind. Towards the Unknown is a poetic expression of what happens during this journey. The third book was Intuitive Intelligence, which was a picture book of sights and insights, he called it. And he was a great photographer. And in those photographs, he said it's very difficult to capture the timeless. But when you can catch a creative frame, you capture that timeless in time. That is how creatively, if you can frame it, that creative frame expresses that timeless, that creative spark which is there. So, Sights and Insights, that book is Intuitive Intelligence, which he has. One incident I will share. When we were translating this book, there was a frame that from his cottage, wooden cottage, there is a gap. From that gap, a creeper has come out and it has given a beautiful flower. And we were thinking of changing the paper size. So we were cropping the pictures. And while cropping the pictures, we cropped it in such a way that that gap from which it had come, that only we didn't show. So he said, are you understanding what you are doing? He said, it's a book of sights and insights. What is that sight showing you? And what those words are written there? That the creative energy finding its way, so through the gap it's showing, it's flowing out, that creeper is coming out and is flowering. So how it expresses, anywhere where there is an opening, that creative energy will find its way intuitively. So this was the picture, and can you see this corner, this corner, this corner? This is from where, from the gap, it has come out. And he was trying to express, the words are beautiful: only in freedom from all bondage, influence, and conditioning, life energy finds intuitively its own flowering and fulfillment. Only in freedom from all bondages, influence, and conditioning, life energy finds intuitively its own flowering and fulfillment. The gap which was there was leading this creeper to the sunlight and the ultimate freedom and light. So these were the wordings. That was the picture. And he said, "What are you doing? You're cropping that corner to make the picture small." That is the way every time he pointed out the essence of everything. What you are doing? Are you focused onto the purpose? Are you focused onto the essence of what you are doing? What you are trying to express? And these are the ways in which you learn the things very differently. You learn about how life expresses, how the intuitive energy expresses. All these things are learned beautifully in these moments. Thanks to all of you for sharing these invaluable moments with him through this sharing. Hope many of you who have not read the books will feel like going for those books. Every word is potent, every frame is potent. Even if one frame we understand, that's enough to take us beyond. So let Dadaji go on working through everyone's heart onto the mankind, and let everyone find this intuitive way of ultimate flowering of human consciousness. This prayer we put at his feet, and Guruji is inspired to share something. 5 more minutes. Are you all okay with it? Because this is how it happens, when you are in immense love with the master, it just goes on eternally. So just 5 more minutes. Guruji will share something. I'll mute myself.
Okay, I was just seeing the chat box. There's a question from Maheshwar. Guruji, our mind keeps doubting. How can we switch off? Switch off the mind. That's a question. Maheshwar, is your video on? Guruma, can you highlight? I want to know who is he. Maheshwar. Okay, so yes, Maheshwar. Namaskar. How to switch off the mind? Yes, I learned very well by being with him and instantly switch off. Okay. His methodology was or is watch your mind intensely with aloof attention. That is the wording he used. Aloof attention is his word. Watch your mind intensely with aloof attention, and that's the way to switch off the mind. The mind dissolves, you get into the vibrant awareness aspect, and that's how you go beyond. It sounds simple. Let me tell you, I got this thing without doing anything. That is the grace of the master. Okay, now he himself have never used this word grace of the master. Huh? If you see his entire literature, he has not used the word Guru Kripa or grace of the master. He just found in his own way. But as far as I am concerned, for me, it was all his grace. So I learned just by being with him. And in his energy field, my mind would switch off instantly. And then lots of other things, mind to mind communication and other things started happening. But the answer to your question, Maheshwara, is watch intensely your mind with aloof attention. That was the method, and you practice it and it happens that way. All right. uh, we are now running a show called Freedom Movement Show every Sunday morning 10:30 IST. For 1.5 hours I am talking on Dadaji's philosophy and teaching people what he wanted to teach, but in my own style. So tomorrow morning 10:30 in Freedom Movement I'm going to speak on uh, how freedom from mind, that is the title, and that is book that is based on his first book, Beyond the Mind. So those who are interested in knowing in detail, like Maheshwar asked the question, I'm going to elaborate his entire methodology of how to go beyond the mind and how you can have freedom from mind. That is the topic for tomorrow morning, Freedom Movement Show. Every Sunday morning I talk on these things, and you are most welcome. Tomorrow is the 14th episode. So this is the 14th Sunday on which I am talking on freedom from something. All this knowledge that if you see, there are already 13 videos on YouTube. We have created a separate channel for this. 13 videos are already uploaded. Right now also, this is going live stream on YouTube, and you can see this video also on the YouTube if you missed something from the beginning. So tomorrow 10:30 in the morning we will have freedom from mind, and it is all based on Dadaji's philosophy and his book Beyond the Mind. So anybody who is interested, you are most welcome to join us tomorrow morning 10:30 live, 1.5 hours. I'll talk on that book. Lots of experiences are there about one night midnight I was coming back after talking to him a lot, and he was feeling sleepy, and he said, now you go, it's too much. And I faced the panther, cheetah, face to face for 5 minutes on the road, and huge bird flying over me as I was riding the bicycle. And in that vibrancy there was absolutely no fear. What is encountering cheetah face to face right in the middle of the road, 5 minutes eye to eye meditation, okay, and no fear? That was the master's blessings, because in the forest you meet all these things. So one with the big bird, I don't know whether it was an eagle or an owl, but huge, almost 8 feet span of the wings. And as I was traveling on the motorcycle, the bird was flying above me. I thought it will bite me or do something, but it didn't do. And there was no fear as such. Thought had come, but fear was not there. Then this cheetah in front of me, 5 minutes. Okay. And one evening I was sitting, we were discussing something, and normally I'll sit on the floor level because I always felt that the master's energy is available when he sits above and you sit below. So master's energy is available. Okay. And I always sat down. I don't know why. That evening he had told me, you sit on the chair. And my brother is a chair manufacturer, and he had given nice chairs. So I was sitting on the chair. After about half an hour discussion, what I saw is almost 6 feet long king cobra, black serpent. Okay. Huh? Huh. He just entered from the door, and this now in the master's presence, whether the fear is there or not, and king cobra is real, okay, poisonous. So I remember, how the fear arises when the serpent comes nearer to you. So what I did is I slowly lifted my feet, and the king cobra was under the chair, and he was listening. And Dadaji said that this comes quite often. He is interested in our discussion. So there, when the discussion is over, he'll go. Until the discussion was going on, the king cobra sitting below the chair, listening to the talk. I was above the chairs, feeling okay, and very high vibrancy. So there was no fear, really speaking. Okay. But you see, king cobra is real, and all that time my feet were above the chair. I did not put my feet below because this mind is still there telling that, okay, it can be very dangerous. So In the presence of the master, such things also happen. That you come face to face with everything in the real life situation. It's no more a philosophy. Amazing things have happened. Today the time is up. Tomorrow morning 10:30, Beyond the Mind by Dadaji. I'll be talking for 1.5 hours, and you are all welcome to join us tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Over to Guruma for Shanti Path.
With Master's blessings, when all these things come to you, an experience of joy and bliss is what remains. The life is fulfilled in every moment. Life is completing its mission through the human frame that you are into when such things happen. And then only one thing remains which gets expressed, and that is the well being of every fellow being on planet Earth. So, the Shanti part, which expresses these feelings. And Dadaji liked one particular Shanti part. So, we will chant that. ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टवांशस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षो रारिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनो सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let everyone experience all auspiciousness everywhere.